And we're back after an insane game 2 in this best-of-3 series. Fear putting the fear into Golden Guardians and claiming the win here, evening us up to a 1-1. What a crazy game, though. We're not going to get too much into it right here before we start the Rally Cry halftime show, because the halftime show will be reliving the game. But I just want to give Third time show, technically, yes. They didn't let me do a really crazy, like, cut off the halftime and put a 1/3 over it. But Cincinnati Fear, they're saying it themselves. You can never count them out. I think Golden Guardians are learning that now. So, while we give the players time to rest and recover and get ready for game number 3, we're going to play a little halftime show, third-time show called Pixel Perfect, where I was taking screenshots of the last game. Some of them, you can tell what's going on, some of them not, and they're worth more points the grainier the image is. So you know what? You love it. By this point in the season, I doubt the rules matter too much. Josh, Magical, we had rock, paper, scissors determined who got to play this yesterday. Usually I just throw it to the play-by-play because I pity them. But Josh, would you like to contest for this and go rock, paper, scissors?
Nah, Alex can go.
One bit.
Alex can take it.
Yep, I know. Alex is already going for the 1 bit. So,
I'm technically 0 for 2 in game shows today. So
the way the scoring works, the 16 bits are worth 1 point, 8 bits are worth 2 points, 1 bits are worth 3 points. 1 bits are the most zoomed in, hardest to tell what's going on. So, Magical, what is going on in this image?
Cuddle puddle mid lane.
The what?
The cuddle puddle.
The cuddle puddle.
Where everyone died mid lane.
Oh wait, I don't have my soundboard turned up. There we go. Absolutely. The 5-for-4 mid lane. It was a quadra-kill for Array, but you highlighted it perfectly, Josh. Everyone was stuck under the turret. I swear the turret did the most damage in this team fight, despite the fact Array got a quadra-kill, and Shochi was just permanently throwing out the DPS onto everybody. So congratulations, Magical gets 3 points as he takes a victory sip from that. Back to the scoring then. Josh, it's over to you. What do you want to go for?
I mean, we're going to take the other one there. We're not cowards.
Yes.
This is how you play the game, everybody. 1 bit. What is the context of this image?
This is way harder. What? I knew what the other one was instantly.
The other one was so easy.
I don't even know what I'm looking at.
Okay. Try. Look at the model. Look at what's going on. Where on the map are we?
I mean, it's green, so it's got to be around the dragon pit.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Yeah, I don't know. It's somewhere around the dragon pit. That's all I know.
That is not enough information, Josh. Magical, would you like to steal?
Sure. I'll give it a whirl. Is this where we had the wacky fight? No. I can't. Nope, never mind. I'm give up.
It's a wacky fight, yeah.
That is incorrect. It was, I mean, maybe wacky fight applies, but you should know the meta by now. This was the game-ending fight. Usually that's the last one. I wanted to highlight what I zoomed in on was the Malphite ult concept going in. Gets a 3-champ knockup. Gets a 3-champ knockup. I don't have a screenshot I wish I had of what happens after. Manui's in the air. Array walks up, and Trevor hits a snipe hook around everybody. This entire clump of people, Trevor snipes him. And Array cannot DPS Manui, so then Manui just lands and says, all right, well, I'm just going to free fire now, and cleans up the fight. It was so close, but I want to give props to Concept for finding it, and also Trevor for saving the play by hitting Array with that crucial hook.
Yeah, I thought that Malphite's arm there was a Draven Axe, and I was like, I couldn't unsee that. It's like, I don't even know what champion this is.
Same. I was literally looking at the model. I'm like, I feel like
it's kind of recognizable as Malphite.
No.
Nah. That's some copium right there.
All right.
Maybe it's okay. You got us.
Maybe a little bit of cope. Okay, that means it's back over to Magical, who has 3 points. Joshi has 0 points. Magical, what would you like to go for? 8, you said?
8. Yeah, I'm not ever going to go for the easy ones.
Understandable and respectable. Number 8. Or 8-bit number 1, I guess. What is going on in this image?
Well, clearly, it's a Malphite ult and then a Thresh hook at the same time. So
that's already incorrect. Josh, you get a chance to steal.
Malzahar ult and a Thresh hook?
You said Malphite.
You said Malphite ult. You said Malphite ult.
Yeah, this is the gank.
I swear.
This is the gank into the mid lane onto Shochi, where they actually, or not on Shochi, onto Young with the Malzahar ult and the Thresh hook at the same time.
My brain sometimes my brain just doesn't function.
What's important here is that it was actually Rosethorn going for the gank. It was a classic Vi.
They got turned around.
Trying to set up the assassin, and they could not get the kill instantly. The Malzahar shield was up, and a really good read from Trevor and Perry. They were there at the right time, and they were able to turn around the play. So this was pretty impactful because this started kind of a series of plays that got Fear back into it. Maybe it didn't start it, but it was one of the plays in the snowball that got Fear back into the game when it started pretty rough for them. Okay, so that's Josh. You stole that one.
All right.
Yes, he did. Yes, he
2
did.
points to Josh, 3 points to Magical. Josh, it's back to you. What do you want to go
All right,
for?
we're gonna take the other 8-bit.
The other
No
8-bit.
cowards here.
No cowards
Gotta get
here.
the ribbit frogs.
What is the context of this 8-bit image on the screen?
Oh, this is Prismal jumping in and then dying underneath the turret.
No, yeah.
What?
Not quite.
You're close. It was
You're
like
close. I want to give it to you, but maybe Magical can get it right.
so. It was the weird. Remember when I'm like, wait, he died to the turret? Like no, he
Yeah,
died.
that's when he died to the turret.
He died to Trevor. So I'm like, wait, that was a really weird look because all of a sudden.
Yeah, when he like dashed super far backwards and the turret takes forever to actually
Yeah,
hit
but
him.
it was that Thresh got the kill because he dashed back towards his team. But yeah, it like he auto attacked at the same time the turret happened.
The reason I'm I don't even know if that's
Yeah,
good enough.
he jumps underneath like
I'm
trying
gonna
to
give it
like
to
get the
neither
wave
of you.
under.
I don't think that's
What?
descriptive enough.
What? Okay.
So Josh Joshi Howard, you
That's me.
said under turret. He did not die under turret. He dove
He takes
in.
a turret shot.
It's a turret shot, but where is he? Where did he die?
He's
Is
super
that
far
under
back.
turret
You know what?
that he just
You know what?
died
You know
there?
what? I'm gonna say, you're wrong, Kangas. Josh gets the points. Josh, we're gonna take over this game show. You get the points. You're in the lead. All this gold.
Wait, what am I hearing now?
Yeah, I'm hearing myself now.
I threw in the leash comment that Josh made earlier. So it's not under turret, and he
no,
didn't quite dash in. It wasn't an auto that killed him. It was a flay into a hook, but whatever. Regardless, Magical's still up in
All
points.
right.
Still up in points. Back to the
Fine.
scoring.
Josh, it's
Fine.
okay. On our scoring, you're in the lead. It's okay.
Wow.
You know, I
I'll
just
accept
realized
it.
there's really no point in going back to the scoring anyway because we only have the 16 bits left. So,
Yeah. So
we're
Josh,
just gonna
you're
get right
in
into
the
it.
lead. So I'm gonna go with 16.
Well, let's see. Can you guess the context of this image?
Oh yeah, it's the level 1. It's the level 1. It's
It's the level one.
So
there are
this-
2 people in that bush.
This was where it was like, all right, well, I guess it's a 2-0. Like, Golden Guardians are going to win this one. It's pretty much over. But the fact that Fear are able to, make a couple plays later in the game was awesome. Array getting first blood made things very tough for Fear, but also I think it might have made Golden Guardians a little overconfident in what they're able to accomplish for the rest of the game. So, Josh, I'm just going to
it's
give
tied. It's a tie game right now, so it's your turn.
It's tied. I'm just going to give it right to Josh. Josh, what is the context of this final 16-bit image? As Magical has 4 points, Josh has 2 currently.
This is the dragon fight. Right, I know we're there. God, it was so early in the game. I actually don't remember what this was. I know this was the fight around the dragon.
I'm not going to give it to you. Magical, what you think?
I thought it was the fight around the Rift Herald.
Which one?
Really?
The first one. Yeah, it's the first one.
Red, white, don't fight.
Yeah.
What is this?
Oh.
What are we seeing?
Yeah.
What do we see there, Golden Guardians? It's the simplest
Like,
concept.
I remember that one. That's where I was just like, look at Manui.
Now,
Look at
it
Manui.
is important to know Golden Guardians were ahead. You see them clumped up. They almost killed Trevor. They do get 1 kill, but Manui is literally untouched this entire time. I wish I had taken the second screenshot. He like walks up into all of them, and nobody looks at Manui. Golden Guardians' target selection was a little off in this fight. I think they got funneled into hitting just what was directly in front of them, and also the fact that they're taking this fight against Nephelios anyway. Even if you're ahead, rough, and this was the first kill. It's actually Shochi that gets this, but this is the beginning of Fear getting back into the game after all the early game plays were going the way of Golden Guardians.
Yeah.
So there we go. That means Magical, you stole that one too, right? So that means Magical wins it with 5 points. Well done, Magical.
Yeah, it was a close game.
Yeah, it's a day for Alex.
It was
Let's go,
a close
Alex.
game, Josh. It was 5-4. You know, the total scoring. But you did a good job, and we tried.
Is what it is. I still can't believe neither of us could recognize what that Malphite one was, but it looked so much like a Draven axe.
I thought it was like a Draven skin with an axe.
I wanted to get the Trevor hook instead, because I thought the Thresh hook was the more impactful moment of that play, but there were too many particle effects that there was no way to tell what was going on, which is kind of the spirit of the game, but I think I still made it hard enough with that Malphite regardless.
Yeah. I still thought the Cuddle Puddle was like probably the easiest
That was
one bid we've
I'll
had
be
in a
honest,
while.
that was so easy.
The problem is I couldn't make it like tight enough so that you could see all the champs, but grainy enough that you couldn't tell what was going on.
I remember when you used to troll us and you would have like your whatever recording software with like the red outline around, and it would throw me off super bad. I was like, what is this red line? I can't tell what it is. And you're like, oh, that's my recording software.
Like change it to like colorblind mode where it's like, okay, what?
Stop giving me
Turn
ideas,
the saturation
Magical. I'm gonna
way
make
up.
it even harder
You
for you
already
going
did
forward.
this. You've already done this. I'm not giving you ideas.
Well, regardless of how that game show went, Magical does take it, but who's going to take this series? We're going to find out now because Pick and Ban isn't ready. So for game number 3, I'm passing it back to Magical and Joshi.
All right,
Steve.
Steve, it's always good having you on with us, but you know what? That's the last one of our little rally cry halftime bits, third time bits for the day. We have one game remaining, Josh. Golden Guardians Challengers, Cincinnati Fear. Who could ask for a better series to end this first day of the round 2?
Yeah, this has been a very fun series back and forth. I mean, the first game was pretty one-sided, but it's still a lot of highlights coming out. And on the other side, Fear took a very close game. So, you know, if that means anything, I feel like Golden Guardians should be a little bit favored. They do get side select. They go with the exact same bans for the third time in a row. And Alex, Fear, I mean, they played the Sejuani last game for Perry. It was a big part of why they were actually able to find some of their wins. But now that it is actually going to be banned away, I'm curious what it is that Perry's going to play, because the Xayah is going over to Array.
Xayah taken really quickly on that one, too. I feel like Fear thought that there was actually going to be something else that possibly would be taken, like looking at what was banned previously. Gragas having now joined the bans. Actually, you know, there's not really much, because they banned Zeri, Xayah, and Sejuani when they were on the red side last time.
Yeah, and so, I mean, as we get these Gragas ban to come through, it is going to be the Xayah and then the Aphelios trade, as we have seen time and time again. And this time, probably a Thresh coming through for Trevor once again. He did have a pretty good performance on that with some very clutch hooks, both for the Cuddle Puddle and to actually end the game out. And now, Golden Guardians, I'm actually a little surprised that Fear is spending so much time thinking on this. I think they really need to find a good pick here for Perry, and it has been so much of his success has been coming off of things like the Sejuani and the Vi. It's going to be a Maokai.
Maokai I'm not as thrilled on, purely because when we look at like champions that Perry has played during this split, he is 1-5 on Maokai. This has been one of the champions that he hasn't had the best of performances on, and especially now with a lot of the nerfs that Maokai suffered patch after patch, it feels like it's just one of those things Perry's put a lot of practice on, and that's why they're going for it. The Viego was something that I saw hover, and I would have really liked that for Perry.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a very odd pick ban coming through for Fear, but they do have a very clear style, right? Perry tries to control around some of the early objectives, and then they really focus on making sure that either Faisal is strong or Minui is strong, and then playing from there. We actually haven't seen Faisal get super strong in either of our games so far. I mean, there's a good counter pick coming out from Concept and playing it well with the help of Rose Thorn early on. Really never let Faisal get off the ground. But as we see this Vi coming through for Rose Thorn as well, we see a very clear, a very similar game plan to Golden Guardians from Game 2 going into Game 3.
This is where it's sometimes hard to draft against Concept because he has such a unique champion pool. He likes to play a lot of the beefy frontline champions. His Mundo is legendary. His Singed as well, something that he can pilot very well. We saw the Malphite that he actually did a great job in that game. Sadly, not picking up the W, but not from any fault of his own.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll see what Concept is able to do in this one. And it has been a little bit quieter from the top side, you know, because it was just a relatively, just like a slacking, a slow outpacing of Concept over Faisal. As the Cho'Gath ban comes through, it is the first time that it has been touched in this series at all. And so
it got banned in Game 1.
Oh, it did get banned.
Yeah.
Second phase?
Second phase, yes.
Second phase. Okay. But yeah, Concept has been something I'm surprised we haven't seen more of out of Concept, just kind of in general, especially considering the priority that other teams have been putting onto this champ. And also, Young on the LeBlanc, I feel like was uninspiring. I was very surprised to see it come out in that moment. It was one of those things that you can afford to do after winning game 1, but probably wouldn't do in a game 3 situation based on that performance.
Also difficult to actually assassinate Manui, even with everything that they used to try to make sure they can get on top of Manui. Wasn't like they could actually burst him down that quickly. There's so much that had to be expended that other members of Fear could actually pile around him. And look at this draft from Fear. This is purely the Manui show. They are drafting everything as like, we are keeping Manui alive.
Yeah, and we'll see how Golden Guardians does react, right? You already have 2 very strong divers. I would not be surprised to add a 3rd or 4th one. Malphite is playable into Sion, but obviously nowhere near as exciting as it was into the Renekton. And instead, it's going to be Young going right on back to the Taliyah, the very classic combo between the Vi and the Taliyah, making it very easy to land those seismic shoves, but also going to be giving a little bit more of a front-to-back style to Golden Guardians instead of committing to all of these big dives. And the last thing left to decide, what is it that Concept wants to play into Faisal's Sion? He tends to play a lot of tanks.
Ooh, Singe! Yes, I was just talking about his Singe too. I wasn't even thinking that as like a reality for this one. We have seen him play it, I think, about 2 weeks ago. But busting out here, do or die for the upper bracket life. He plays one of his classic champions, one of those champions that we looked back last year when he joined Immortals Academy and made the splash on both Mundo and Singed.
Yeah, and he played this he played this into the wild card, I believe, as well, and it was a huge instrumental part of their victory there. Lens and Duoking could never really play, but now it's Shoji going on to the Viger. Feels like a previous season once again. So many older champions coming through on both sides of the map, and now Golden Guardians Concept on this Singed played to another level in ways that we haven't seen him play most other characters. This Sion is really going to kind of be pushed to the limit because it can't really do a whole lot on its own. And even with Parry coming up, it's not as though they have a lot of damage once Concept gets his first item under his belt.
The draft here from both teams, it does feel like an older season, but it's a mix of the 200 years of gaming experience and the 30 minutes of game design, right? That's what we got going on between the two teams, because you got some of these older champions, as you talked about, Singe, Vigar, but then you have an Aphelios, you have Zyra Khan on the team. You have a lot of power that can come in from some of the mechanics these champions provide, and then looking at how they perform in team fights, it seems like both teams are committed towards those fights again in this game. Like in game 1, we get into game 3 and look at Cincinnati Fear.
Yeah, they're already stacking up. They had a really rough time in the second game at level 1, but Rosethorn does this so often.
Yep.
His spider sensors are tingling.
Where my Fear levers at? I like that one. Anime plot armor as Prismal. He's gonna be the target.
Got him.
They've got the baby cage, and you're locked in. You dash over, flashing 2. He does survive. That's a lot burned, though, just to keep your body kicking.
Yeah, but it is still going to be keeping him alive, and that's going to be significantly shutting down some of the early play that Zyra Khan can go for.
But there's one big thing from that play. Sure, Prismal doesn't die, but Shoshi has gotten the stack. That's the important thing about this.
True. Also, he had to start with Cage, right?
Yeah,
Not
that's going to really make this lane difficult.
Yeah. I mean, it's not as though Taliyah is the strongest level 1 champion. He can bully a crazy amount, but it is still... Player. Exactly. You're not going to be able to start stacking off the first wave. You're going to be a little bit behind, and Young has way more control over what to do with the wave. On the other side of the map, remember there is a little bit of vision that was picked up by Golden Guardians. They will see Parry starting up the red buff here in just a moment, and Rosethorn relatively unspotted as he starts his clear on the other side of the map. So I actually will really wonder what it is that Concept is going to choose to do. We saw in his time against Moosehater that he was constantly proxying as early as, I believe, wave 3?
Yes.
I expect something very similar if he gets a sense that Parry's going to move to the other side of the map.
This is something Concept even was very famous for last year when he played a lot more Singed. Since it was his rookie year and he was playing far more of the comfort champions for him. When he played Singed, it was always that level 3, level 4, I look to proxy now.
Yeah. So, as Parry is going to be moving down towards the far side, they do have a ward to potentially spot him passing over the Raptors, but wisely, Parry going to be taking the long way around, so Concept cannot safely push up just quite yet. but still going to be pushed back. Singe early levels are not always the most exciting thing, and Sion can kind of get that wave pushing down and trade fairly perfect farm, but already Rosethorn skipping over some of his camps in order to try and interrupt the pathing coming through.
Going right around the ward. Faisal, nary the wiser on this play, as he is looking to shove out this wave the best he can, especially with the cannon minion. Rosethorn has got the glue from Concept to help him out. Where's the fling to fling him back? You can layer up the CC.
Yeah, the red buff.
Faisal is holding on to it as much as possible. Finally fearing away. The Fault Breaker connects, and first blood's picked up by Golden Guardian.
That was some of the most patient play I think I have ever seen coming out of Rosethorn, right? Not leading with the Vault Breaker at all, instead holding on to it, making sure you can get the red buff. That was a textbook perfect gank coming out from the Golden Guardian's top side of the map. Ends up finding the first blood and really allows Concept to kind of start snowballing this game, and giving Rosethorn that extra kill is going to make up for all the camps that he has not been doing this time.
Not the flashiest, but smooth. It was a nice play like you talked about from Rosethorn, and continuing the growth that we were talking about him before. This player who back last year went a part of CLG Academy. He made that splash in the regular season as being this hyper-aggressive jungler that a lot of people couldn't compete against, but once they figured him out, he was exposed in the proving grounds. But then, having spent a split with with CLG Faith, he has gotten far better at playing patiently, cautiously, while yet still looking for these opportunities to find fights.
Yeah, and great pathing from both junglers, right? To dodge some of the vision as another hook does land. Remember, Prismal's flash is still down, but Trevor has gotten the ignite back up. This has been good for Fear. The fact that they got that early flash has really put a damper on Prismal, one of the most aggressive supports that we have. Not able to go for some of these early game plays. And it is allowing Manui and Trevor to have a bit of an advantage in a spot where they might not normally expect to have one, just because of how aggressively Array and Prismal do normally like to play this lane.
I like that. I like that look from Manui and Trevor, where
Parry.
they were able to play very passively. As Concept does find parry, but Faisal is like, I need to clear out some of these minions. I don't want to fall behind. I need to at least stay up and farm, since I did die pretty early on.
Yeah. In Concept, I mean, that's all of his health and mana. He will probably have to go for a reset here pretty quickly. He's actually choosing to stick around on such low mana. A little bit surprised. He doesn't feel like he's going to be under any pressure whatsoever.
It's the toggle. It's all about the toggle. Ooh. I'll talk about that in a second, because that was a good trade of damage on Young. But when playing Singe, you can actually toggle the poison pretty well. And by doing so, you'll clear out a lot of the minion wave without actually using any mana.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can do it, it's also worth noting, though, that he doesn't have enough mana for a fling. So, you know, if Faisal is confident, they can't go for
It's all about
things.
wave clear. That's all it is.
Yeah. Here we go. Golden Guardians trying to stay ahead of the play. Normally, Fear does it sometimes between 5:30 and 6:30, and that's going to be another dragon getting picked up. Oh, yeah.
Flash for Concept. Nice play there from Faisal, but going back to that, this is the second game in a row where that Rosethorn getting the first dragons right before that timer that you were talking about, that Cincinnati Fear. Pretty much every single game around that 6 to 6:30 mark is when they look for the dragon.
Yeah. Concept choosing to stick around as well as Young comes to investigate, but Concept should have this wave cleared out and should be able to leave in time.
Cowards!
All right. Wave clear ultimate. I mean, it will force Concept to be in a really awkward situation where he has no teleport, cannot come back up towards the top lane without it, and is going to be missing another wave in exchange for this back. So honestly, Faisal, despite having died relatively early on, is doing a much better job at keeping Concept in check than when we saw the last time the Concept played this champion.
Keep doing my checks on stacks for Shochi every single time I see it up. 54 at the moment. Not too bad for 7 minutes into the game, especially starting with Baby Cage, which would normally delay it a little bit more. And playing something that is going to be far more about scaling, just getting these stacks into the game, leans in even more so to the Fear playstyle. Sure, they didn't get that first dragon, They are looking for those team fights, the pivotal moments that they can all group together as one. As right here,
there
they
it
look
is.
for the play on to Trevor, but they got the baby cage on the other side to defend him, getting a lot of damage.
There's
Young on the other side. Seismic shove will find Trevor as they got the blast gun away, getting a lot of damage onto Rose Thorn. Perry back towards his turret. One kill picked up by Golden Guardians is perfect to set them up so they can keep Manui corralled.
Yeah, I mean, great stuff. This is another really good read from Golden Guardians on how Fear like to play the game. Normally, it's sometime between 7:30 and 8:30 that you expect a gank in the mid lane. They do that, then they start going for the Rift Herald. Golden Guardians not letting that happen whatsoever. But at the same time, Concept on the Singe has significantly struggled to try and find some kind of lead, has not been able to proxy a single wave, and is actually down a lot of CS. Despite some of the early pressure that has come out. Great stuff from Faisal to actually go for a lot of these brawls, a lot of these fights in order to keep Concept from becoming the same kind of menace.
Let's see, this is one thing where I do like the Singe pick, but it's really difficult to pilot into Sion. Having played both sides of the matchup,
I love playing the Sion side.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so
I
much
don't love
better.
playing the Singe side.
Neither do I. I've played both of them as well. The Sion's such an easier thing to pilot, and that's what kind of makes this difficult for Concept, because he really wants to at least get up to that giant spell where he won't feel nearly as threatened to proxy the wave, since Faisal can always immediately turn and use his ult like this.
Here's the fight, here's the fight.
For the back lane play, and they got a lot of damage with the baby cage putting down Trevor, going to be the first casualty as they did steal it away. Perry got himself the Rift Herald, and with low health bars on Golden Guardians, here comes the re-engage from Fear, getting the Featherstorm out of array. The primordial burst for Shochi.
It's going to be a 1-for-1, but I think it was it Fear that actually got the Rift Herald in that fight? Yeah, that's a pretty big win coming through from Fear, despite the setup coming out from Golden Guardians. They were confused as to how they wanted to play. It looked as though Fear is so much more decisive. They charge in and fight for the Rift Herald, while everybody else is able to deal with all the pressure here. Young and Prismal are not in a position where they can actually use their front line to support them, and while they do manage to take down Trevor really early on, they don't get to participate in the rest of the fight after that because their front line is not strong enough to deal with Shochi and Manui, and they have to back away. And because Perry ends up having this ultimate available afterwards, yeah, Array has to use the ultimate and the flash to try and leave, but Shochi flashing after, that's a point and click. You can't dodge it.
Not at all, and getting more stacks over to Vigard too. Great things for Fear. And one of the biggest things is how much in that fight that Golden Guardians used just to kill Trevor. They didn't have anything left in the tank to then turn for the other members of Fear.
Yeah, I mean, it's always got to be frustrating if you're that one person who dies. But it's like, I mean, I guess, right? Like, that's a lot of tools being used. Golden Guardians, it definitely feels as though so much of their setups, like, they're very reliant on actually making sure that Young and Concept and Rose Thorn can find good angles into the fight. But because they weren't setting up for that last fight, they were in a very awkward position. It's not the style that we know that they like to play, and instead, whenever I watch these kind of plays coming out from Fear, I normally tend to credit them to Perry in particular, who has been trying to work on being a more vocal leader, on being this player who has been, you know, not just known as a cerebral player, but also a strong mechanical player. And watching the growth of Perry Norman from his time as a substitute on Dignitas to now kind of being a leader here for Fear has been a huge change in the way that we've seen this guy.
I know Perry credits Dignitas Academy for a lot of his growth as a player and as a person. How much he learned from playing alongside Insanity and what calls he needed to make and learning to get that voice that he's now brought over to Cincinnati Fear. Where beforehand, a lot of people, including myself, talked about how Perry was that cerebral player. He was playing passively.
Yep,
but here we gotta put that on pause because Rosethorn definitely is not one of those. Oh, he's been aggressive to pull the trigger immediately to execute a perfect dive.
Textbook dive once again. Some of these fights from Golden Guardians, absolutely textbook. The gang top lane, this dive bottom lane. No need to use any more summoners than they need to, and now they're going to be giving Array even more pressure in the mid lane. Concept going to try and stop something here, but the baby cage doesn't even let him get near the turret. Perry just zones him away. There's going to be a lot of damage on the mid lane turret. And the top lane turret.
Gold for Shochi as well. Getting plate gold, getting some stacks as well. They're setting up where, sure, Manui did die, but he's gotten back into lane with the Bloodthirster here at 12 minutes. as well as they're giving so much to this hyperscaling mage in Vigar for Shochi.
Yeah, and Rosethorn choosing to go with the Divine Sunder instead of the Radiant Virtue. Not going to be as tanky, but will be doing a little bit more damage. His concept, I mean, falling about 30 CS behind Faisal at this point. And one of the things that we've been looking for is Faisal has been one of these players who has been so focused on finding advantages on his own, oftentimes in the side lanes, oftentimes in 1v3s, to be strong. But just the fact that he has made up for that deficit already is huge. Rosethorn comes around.
And Faisal's also been this great weak side top lane players. Right now, he gets so much attention from Rosethorn that, sure, he flashes eventually, but that allows more time for Perry, who's looking to set up around this bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big potential die, but a little bit tougher because Array does have the cleanse and the ultimate to break a lot of this crowd control. So we'll see what Fear is able to actually get done here as Perry can flash over this wall. They don't know it's coming yet.
Might just want to get the plate and be done with it. Fear getting more gold for Manui. And looking at how Perry is pathing at the moment, there's not really much to play for on the map. Still 3 minutes out until the next dragon will spawn. They have to fight around that. Though this hook on to Rosethorn could have been a start. As Prismal does re-engage, it's played back in. Might have bit off more than he could chew. That's why he has to battle dance away as Rosethorn tried to re-engage, but they just gave more gold over to Manui.
And that's the flip side of Prismal, right? As somebody who always wants to be the star of the show, goes right on in, says, hey guys, look at me. And it's like, oh, well, see ya, I guess, as he goes right on out.
Because Rosethorn, we were praising on how patient he has been throughout this entire game, and just how he's grown as a player. This entire split has been about working on going for the plays at the right moments. There, he's like, Prisma went in. I need to help him out. And then realize that he's gone, and he's half a screen away, and he's like, oh, I'm just going to die now.
Yeah, and it's fascinating to watch. Oops, as Fear, despite the fact that they are down a bunch of kills, are actually ahead pretty significantly in the goal, partly because of the way that Faisal has been playing, and also because so much time has been spent from Golden Guardians to try and find some of these fights that they are neglecting to actually take care of their turret plates. They've given over, I think it was like all 5 top lane, 3 or 4 in the mid lane, and like 2 in the bottom lane. That's 11 altogether. That is so much money. That's, you know, over 1,000 gold, easily close to 2,000. That has already gone over in favor of Fear, and that accounts for almost all of their gold lead at this point.
I'd like to see just how much Shochi has of the gold, right? Because he's only sitting at 101, but he's gotten 158 stacks at this point in the game. And with 5 stacks on that Roa, fully stacked up on the tier of the Goddess, he just needs to complete that Seraphs, and this Vigar will be so difficult to actually do anything against unless you layer everything on top of him, and then that means you're not focusing on Manui.
Yeah. Golden Guardians, at the same time, though, this game is not going to be close one way or another. Golden Guardians, the number of waves they have started giving up over the course of this series in order to try and make plays, either means that they're going to blast a couple of fights and find themselves in the lead again, or they're going to drop all these waves, the fights are going to go poorly, and they're going to dig an even deeper hole for themselves. Right now, they're going to be getting this one for free, but expect Fear to really start contesting around this upcoming dragon, right? They should feel very strong. Every single one of their members, except for Trevor, is already on a completed item, and it's so difficult to walk into them. They already have the baby cage to play with, and of course, Maokai, people might have forgot, his saplings make it almost impossible for people to walk in after Maokai has already gotten there.
This draft from Cincinnati Fear was built to defend Manui, to keep Manui alive in these team fights with double threats in your front line. Plus, as you talked about, how easy it is to spot out a lot with the help of saplings. They're making sure they can do everything possible so they get all that extra damage out of Manui. As Concept looks for this flank. They even have a nice Weaver's Wall, but it wasn't enough with the seismic jump. Manui has to punch back. He's alive still, and that's the problem. They're locked in the
he's alive, he's alive.
And Shochi, the rest of the team follow and make sure they chase down Golden Guardians. Even if Trevor is in a little bit of danger, is he really though? Because they got Baby Cage, Primordial Burst, and Concept. Not long for the world.
They make sure to give it over to Manui as well. It looked like he got caught in all of the crazy melee, but Golden Guardians, this is what we were talking about, right? So many of these fights, they feel like they have to take. They give over so much gold. 2-1-3 now on Manui. Shochi 1-0-4, still unkilled. They're stacking away. They're laughing away. And now they can go collect all this money because Golden Guardians didn't make sure their waves are crashing when they tried to make that play.
If you're going to look at the replay, it's one of those situations where you talked about how much was poured to get Manui. It looked like he was caught out, but then you have to realize how much heal potential there is for Cincinnati Fear that you get on top of Manui. Then you're flayed, baby cage. You got the Nature's Grasp as well that you have to deal with. Then Faisal coming in with a nice decimating strike, so you can't do anything.
Yeah. So whenever we see a character like this Singe, something a little bit more unusual, you always have to ask, is it fulfilling its win condition? And it did. It will become so much easier when these turrets actually fall and you can start coming from behind your opponents. But that ramp was not enough of an angle for them to actually make that play happen. Young tried to flank on one side, Concept on the other, but it's not enough as long as these turrets are still standing. And while there is some opportunities for Golden Guardians to try and get even more. They did crash a Rift Herald in the mid lane. The turret is still standing, Alex. Fear are still in a fantastic spot, and they're looking for Concept. And he forced to flash.
He had to.
Doesn't even see them. He doesn't know.
He doesn't know. He understands that him getting caught out there, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're forfeiting any neutral objective on the map. They're forfeiting control that they could try to wrestle back. Golden Guardians, it's almost the reversal of fates for how last game we saw that here we're the ones battling from behind, constantly having to look for these angles. Now it's Golden Guardians Challengers having to do the same. This is where we have to look at these sophomore players that have had more time. They have a whole year of experience over all the members of Cincinnati Fear. Array and Prismal especially have to step up in these fights.
It's also worth noting, right, it's not the first time for a lot of these players to be playing together on Fear. This is a core that really wanted to come together yet again in order to continue doing well in these events. And there's a good
trying to buffer that, but nobody could fall off Rosethorn because of that baby cage. So they lose the tower, even though it's a re-engage from Principal dashing away as well. Shochi has to go golden to survive as Rosethorn does get a little bit of a distance to flash in another baby cage. It's Don's Young bounced back in with a Bramble smash and played down to death with the Blade Caller not doing anything to take down members of Cincinnati Fear. They will be confident getting the one pick and turning away.
Wow, honestly, this very rapidly is starting to feel untenable here for Golden Guardians. The defense starting to feel like the end of Sherlock Holmes too, man. I don't know what they can really do after some of those plays were starting to go wrong. The amount of gold they gave over from the plates is making Shochi and Manui so strong. There's no real answer for Golden Guardians. The Singe dive is not enough. He's down 2,000 gold at this point. The only person who feels like even kind of close to their lane opponent is Array, and he's been massive this series, but Manui, not as though you can ignore him either.
No, Manui, he was massive last game on this Aphelios. Game one, it was Manui still trying to play very well, and it was only that Array was that much further ahead, that much more fed on Aphelios himself, that Golden Guardians had an easy answer back. This game, there's so much pressure onto Array to perform, even more so than in game one, because having their backs against the wall, against the provisional team, the only one left in the upper bracket, the team that has made believers out of us all after their late season push against strong teams, continue to kite back. And look at this, Shochi is unafraid of Rosethorn, even getting the TP in from Faisal with the ult expended. They get the knockup from Prismal. The battle is stopped in the baby cage. Such a short cooldown that Rosethorn dies before the rest of the team can collapse. While Trevor's taken low, Manui, he gets a huge Moonlight Vigil, and he's got red and white. It's okay to fight. He's going deep into the enemy alliance, but he will call back because guess what is on the table? You better bet it's Baron.
Yeah, and it's starting to feel personal, right? You have to remember, Trevor and Rosethorn used to play together on CLG Fade, even as recently as the 2022 Proving Ground Summer. These guys have played together so much, and Trevor knows that when things start looking bad for Rosethorn, they don't tend to turn around. so easy to catch him out because he's the only real frontline member on this team for Golden Guardians, and he doesn't have the Radiant Virtue either. It's not as though he's actually tanky. He's trying to itemize into damage.
I feel like they lack that source of damage, the engage they need to actually cut through Manui, but just so difficult to even get on top of him because how Shochi can separate these fights, even Perry, Trevor, both of them. They have so many tools to split up and make it so that Golden Guardians members can't actually work as one cohesive unit.
Yeah, and as we start looking towards potentially the end of this series, remember the winner of this is going to be going up against Cloud9 Challengers, the #1 seed in the entire bracket, while the loser will be falling down into the lower bracket as well. And as another dragon, another mountain dragon gets picked up for Fear. I mean, Golden Guardians were already having trouble trying to deal the damage to how beefy this front line is. It gets worse from here at this point, Alex. Perry not even going for something like the Demonic Embrace in order to do more damage. He's going directly for a Warmog in order to make sure that he can never kill this guy. He can walk, he can face check anything, he's going to come back, he's going to be full HP. That's part of why you see Young and Prismal, they're trying to find some kind of crazy flank and find any kind of gold while Fear push.
Fear pushed right down mid lane, and with 4 members here, recalls from Prismal, it's too late. That's going to be an inhibitor turret. More than likely falling since Manui and Shochi are both here.
As they start to push up, I mean, Golden Guardians are basically not defending. What is Concept up to? He's trying to make sure that there's no wave down here. There's a wave very far on the top side of the map, so Fear do really need to be aggressive here. And so Concept will buy a lot of time for his team with this proxying, but it means that there's no opportunity for any kind of defense, and Fear are instead going to move towards the top side. A great read, but Shochi.
Nice baby cage with the Weaver's Wall, but the seismic shove, shut down for Young. That's a start for Golden Guardians as Concept on the other side has found Faisal pretty low, but the Teddy Potion
Stops
is
him.
brewing. Fling him over the wall, body block him, so he cannot get back. He cannot dash away. There's no ult available, even with the flash. You
He's
have
so
the turn.
tanky.
You're so tanky, but
He's
with
so
4
tanky.
members on top of you, you gotta fall eventually, right? Faisal, he's going for Prismal, and he will finally be shut down.
Oh my god, it took them so long to take them down. Look at how far pushed up Fear have already gotten the far side of the map, but 2 crucial kills coming through. Shut down going over to Young. But Fear, they might get this turret on the top side while they wait for Golden Guardians to come back out on the map.
They should get this. The thing is, I think it's a worthwhile trade for Golden Guardians. You get some critical shutdowns. You need the money wherever you can get. They even defend this tower, which is a big boon as well. Looking to continue the fight, getting 2 flashes out of both Manui and Trevor. This Concept is chasing down. That's going to be the death sentence, waiting for the fling back onto Trevor. Right over to Rose
no.
That's a lot of damage, but Moonlight Vigil, it blows them up.
no.
And they can take down Concept one instead, and you trade for Trevor, but Rose Thorn can't do anything to Manui because he is massive. It is Manui's game to win.
Oh, the
and
teleport.
Faisal, his TP flank completely cuts off Golden Guardians, and Perry will die to Young. Young, the only rookie of Golden Guardians Challengers, trying to keep the hopes of this series alive against nothing but rookies.
Oh,
on
they
the
teleport
other
to the
side.
base.
The TPN, but that left out Manui to get shut
What's
down.
happening?
And they're TPing back, looking at how low Shochi is with the baby cage put down. Young dodges away.
What?
He's able to sidestep that, and even with the baby cage locking him in as Faisal, he will run away, and they jump on top. What is going on, Josh? This game continues. Weaver's Wall. Young, he is Young. He's the rookie, and he is the hero Golden Guardians need as everything is falling apart across the rift. Faisal, I don't know what you're doing here, man, because Young, he's just gonna pad that KDA and look that much stronger.
Okay, Fear do a little bit of trolling, but it's okay. They still scale better. That was weird. That was weird as hell. I gotta admit, there's fights everywhere. There's catches in the bottom lane. It just kept on going. But Fear, I mean, trying to go for the end of the game, I think is a little bit too ambitious coming out from this rookie team, smelling blood in the water. But that's another turret that goes down because Faisal took so many minions out before he died. And so, I mean, it gives Golden Guardians another chance But still, you have to look at the fact that Shochi on 3 completed items, this Viger is going to hit like a ton of bricks. And Golden Guardians are still looking to try and do anything as they go for a potential play around the upcoming Dragon. You saw how long it took them to take down Faisal. If he gets another Mountain Dragon, it's going to take what will feel like twice as long.
This is where I look to Young. I was saying how before, Ray Prismal were the targets that I said they got to show up, they got to carry, and then Young goes and gets a ton of shutdown gold. So he is now actually relatively even against Shochi, where he was starting to slip behind him.
And he's got the Rabadons now.
Right, he is equal in items against his opponent. This is actually the moment. The youngest player for, well, not the youngest player, but the rookie player for Golden Guardian Challengers when he's surrounded by all sophomores in their roles.
Alex, he is the youngest player.
Yes, I mean, I was going to make that joke and then I decided to go against it, but you
But Rose Thorn finding parry.
They're not going to fight. They're going to peel back off, especially because Dragon has spawned with Rose Thorn showing top and Manui already there. They're going to take that. The best thing you could do if you're Golden Guardians is possibly look for a trade around this Baron, but they're in such a bad position at the moment. They can't actually get on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, with that Dragon going over, that is a lot of extra effective gold as Faisal looking for Young.
They gotta look for Young. He's the one man with all the gold for the team, and he gets caught out. He's jumped the pawn, doing his best to kite it out, but with no flash, he's bounced away, and like you said, there are too many tanky members on Fear.
And that's the most fed member of Golden Guardians going down. They're not able to do anything. The Mountain Dragons are too much. Golden Guardians, they have to try something desperate here.
Desperation around Baron. How many times do we see this one, Josh? They've targeted Rose Thorn. They're keeping him away from the pit the best they can because they do not even want to have a Smite fight be the thing that gets Golden Guardians back into the game.
Here's the teleport coming through. Golden Guardians not even going to get that turret. Faisal going to make sure that they prevent everything. Concept not able to get the top lane turret either potentially. Shochi going to go up and match that.
One, two, come on minion. The heroic minion wasn't able to get it.
Not able to get it. That is a lot of money that is currently missing from the hands of Golden Guardians. It just feels as though Fear, once again, this team of basically all rookies starting to come through. Some of them have a little bit of experience here and there, but these guys were not a team that people were looking at as having this kind of success going into this season. And so you have to give so much respect. Golden Guardians was probably the team that we were the quietest about, despite the fact that they were quietly making their way up to potentially even 3rd place, ending the regular season in 5th. And Fear, in such a very close series, now they're going to be looking to have an opportunity to take down some of the top dogs in Cloud9 if they can only close this one out.
Golden Guardians even started this series off hot. That first game looked really good out of them, and even game 2, they got the big leads right away. Yet, Fear, there's something about this team. They always fight so well, whether behind or not. Their front to back has been some of the best in the league, and right there, Faisal absorbing so much pressure. He is okay with taking any damage from Array because it's hits in his health bar.
Yeah. It's again worth noting that Young, one of the few players here to have had some LCS experience. Prismal's played a couple of substitution games as well. But on the other hand, like, nobody here has done anything more than substitute for an academy squad in the past. They are now looking to take down some of our strongest challenger teams. And here comes the teleport from Concept. This flank needs to work for Golden Guardians to have a chance.
Reaver's wall, they have cut off their retreat. Manui hugging the wall as well so that no one can get him. But Crystal flashing on top of him goes Golden. Shochi still alive, gets a full combo, but Array survives as they get one to go Golden. Shochi finally will fall to Young, but it's Manui on the other side who's pumping out the damage.
It's a 1-for-1, but the inhibitors are still going to fall here for Golden Guardians. That was the Hail Mary. They had Concept running all the way around, but not able to find that. Both inhibitors going down. Fear going to be able to back out. They will take whatever camp are still left, and with one Dragon left to go, 4 mountains to a Mountain Soul is going to be the most ridiculous thing. Golden Guardians, they can try and chase this one down. Kili is good at that, but oh my god, everything seems to go wrong, and Prismal barely dodging out.
Well, the big thing is you focus all your attention onto Shochi, Manui is going to carry. You focus all your attention onto Manui, Shochi is going to carry, unless you can kill both of them simultaneously. Golden Guardians, this task to take down Fear is looking insurmountable.
Yeah. One head dies, another one grows in its place. Shochi and Minui tag teaming it up. They peel so well for each other, and they have so much frontline to actually play around at the same time. And Spear moving back onto the map with both these inhibitors down. It's such a difficult job for Golden Guardians to move out. Golden Guardians, they tried to go for a bunch of these fights early on in this game. It served them really well in game one. They had a fantastic read. They had a good read on how Fear were going to be playing this last game as well, but Golden Guardians got shut down around the Rift Herald earlier on this game. And even with that good read, you still have to execute, and Fear, their identity standing strong as we start looking at potentially the last fight of the game.
Fear continue to assert dominance here in the jungle of Golden Guardians Challengers. Are looking for any desperate play, any flank possible to get on top of Manui and Shochi simultaneously. As you can see how massive that shield that Manui gets from overheal. It essentially is just a whole other health bar that you have to now deal with, and you're already struggling to kill Faisal. You're struggling to kill Shochi. Look at how he just pumps out the damage onto the structure. One more inhibitor turret falls.
Yeah, they're hitting the dragon.
They're getting the dragon to deny the soul, but what happens if they just end the game from here? They're taking so long to actually get the objective, and once that's spotted out, once they know, they're just gonna full send it. They've already got one Nexus turret toppled, minions pouring in from mid lane, bot lane soon to fall as well. Prismal is on the other side. Roselord is looking for the same flank as well, with Manui getting a lot of damage on Young. Takes the Lantern to be okay as they spot out Roselord and he dashes away while Prismal still cutting the wave the best he can.
Yeah, he's trying to pull everything around, but Faisal is not going to have any of that. It's like, let my minions go.
But now you've lost the front line, but you get the pull back onto Roselord. He goes into stasis as Perry is fine with 3 engaging. They've got the kill for Manui. They're chasing back Golden Guardians. Fear, the top professional team. There is no denying this team. The rookies of the split all across the board are now looking to take down another challenger team as they assassinate Young. They take down Concept. They do lose Barry, but who gives a damn when you can win the series with adding the KDA along the way out? There it is, Brisbane dives back in. They get the blade caller, but Fear, they're baiting it out.
Ran out of steam a little bit there, but it is going to be Fear going up 2-1 in the series, taking down Golden Guardians, another challenger team, another notch on the belt coming through for Fear here at the end. Game 3, it was hard fought, but they look at their style, and Golden Guardians challenges it, and you know what Fear does? They go even further down the exact same road, making sure they have an incredibly powerful backline to play around, and it's served them well so far this season. It'll serve them well in playoffs. They advance another time in the upper bracket and send Golden Guardians down to the lower.
Fear trolling a little bit there. I was trying to make that game-ending call, and they're like, we don't want to hit the Nexus. We want more kills. It's like, come on, guys. Add the call. But you know what? They had the call, and they had the read, because they take that series 2-1. Moving on, they'll face off against Cloud9 Challengers in the round 4, I believe is what they call it, because they skip it over round 3 in the upper bracket. We're going to toss a break, and when we come back, we'll bring back Kangas for an interview, so make sure you stay tuned.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back for our post-series interview. I have Manui from Cincinnati Fear. After coming back, you're down in the series, but you reverse sweep the best of 3 and advance into top 6, guaranteed, and continue in the upper bracket. First off, congratulations, Manui, on the comeback.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Walk me through that series from your perspective. A lot of highs and lows, and I'm sure a lot of emotions being felt by you and the team.
Yeah, so the first game, we come into draft prep, and we talk about Jinx and Aphelios prio, but then after the first game, I really saw, I was like, damn, Aphelios just looks broken. Like, that champion just looks crazy. So then, after the first game we lost, I kind of played bad, the Jinx game, I'll say, I kind of hinted, but when I got my Aphelios, I think I'm pretty good at it. We won the games, not because of me solely, of course, of the team, but I just didn't think that our first game draft was too favored for us.
Sure. Sometimes switching it up will help that, though. So was that a you thing, saying like, hey, we need to change your champ, or was that like the whole team wide saying, hey, we need to switch up something?
No, after the game, we went back to the drawing board. We talked about what side we wanted, and I just said to my coach, I said, just give me a Aphelios. Just give me it. Like, it looks too good. Just give me the Aphelios. Like, I just want to play it.
Hey, sometimes you just got to grab the coach and say, give me my champ. Let me carry this game. And carry you did in that game. And now you got a target on your back. The provisional team still in the upper bracket. Do you have any message, maybe some intimidation to put some fear in your competition remaining here in the upper bracket?
Yeah, I mean, well, with our mascot, the Grim Reaper, right? We're going to keep slaying our enemies one by one. And the next one, it looks like it's going to be Cloud9, if I remember correctly. And right here we have our Grim Reaper, and we're going to take them out.
Oh, the intimidation tactic. Coder, who's in that?
That's Shochi, by the way. Oh my god, it's too funny.
Oh, it's amazing stuff. Love to have the team, content coming out from your team house. Anyway, I gotta jump in here though and put you on the spot here as Shochi continues running around in the background because it's celebration going forward. Spirits are high. So we're gonna play a little bit of a game here to close out the interview and get you ready for your next matches. I have a question.
Yep.
And that is, where you sitting, man? I have provided you a list of options that you can sit at if you had to pick, depending on all players in NACL right now.
So I get to choose a table?
You have to choose a table. All of your teammates are on here. Let me pop you up on the screen. Here we go. Here we go.
God, too funny.
I'm gonna put you up here for now. All right, where are you going though? What table?
I'm looking at.
You got Shochi at table 1.
Yeah,
if you wanted to sit with Shochi. I'm assuming you're going to probably pick one of your teammates unless you just want to be completely BM here. But I split them all up, so you won't be able to get multiple of them.
No, actually, I'll take the table with what's this, Bradley, Prismo, and Concept.
Bradley, Prismo, Concept. Let's go. This has got to be like the funniest table, I imagine.
Oh, really? Yeah,
there's got to be some good vibes at this table.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Manui, for coming on. Congratulations on the win. And make sure that you keep Shochi under wraps because I'm a little worried what he's going to do with that scythe.
True. All right. Thank you.
Take care, Manui.
Bye-bye.
And we're going to bring back out our casters to close out the day after a fantastic performance from Fear. We have...
Oh, Perry.
Oh, Perry. These guys like to have fun. I used to have fun myself.
Lovely stuff. I would have loved to see them like doing a horror movie chasing in the background or something. Would have been good. Would have been good.
Maybe soon.
Sad we didn't get the shirtless manager coming out though. I know that guy's ripped.
Oh no, we still see them on camera right now. He's
we see them
with the scythe currently. Yeah.
Oh,
all right.
We got a flash. Oh, there it is.
He's
wearing a shirt though.
We can't hear them. We can't hear them, but.
He did put a shirt back on, so that's good. That's good that he did that.
You guys are free to go, by the way. You guys do not have to stick around.
Goodbye, Manui. What a day of games. Fear did it. They continue the miracle run. I don't even know if we can call it miracle run, though. I think that's a disservice to them as a team because they have been looking strong in their run, even at the end of the split.
Can we say it was a miracle run in that series? Because after game 1, it was looking dicey. And Manui even said, like, how that after game 2, there's so much excitement where they were, like, crying. They were just so excited that they were able to pick up that win because it looked like it was going to be over.
Fair enough.
Yeah. It looked like a really tough game, too. But as we take a look at this bracket, obviously they will be playing up against Cloud9 Challengers next week, whereas we will be continuing with the upper bracket and the lower bracket tomorrow. But for now, look at this wild card. They dropped a game to CLG Faith, and Evil Geniuses Challengers still 1-1 against AoE. We did get news that, unfortunately for King, he will not be able to play for Evil Geniuses Challengers for the foreseeable future, and they are continuing to play with mobility down there, but still, Golden Guardians is awaiting the winner of that series.
It'd be crazy if EG is the first Challengers team out of the tournament. It's not a position you want to be in, and would follow even Evil Geniuses Academy from spring of last year, if you remember. Or actually, I believe it was summer of last year where they
it was summer, and then they
early.
were the second team in spring. get knocked out.
Yeah, hey, they still have that game though, so we're gonna go raid that channel, of course, so we can catch up on the end of that series, and that will wrap up ours here on Challengers League. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Thank you to production for keeping the gears rolling, Magical and Joshi for bringing the fantastic vibes, and especially the players for putting on that performance. A lot of storylines to continue on into the week. We have one more show day tomorrow, so we'll catch you over at Path LCS for now, and we'll see you back here again tomorrow for more NACL games. Have a good night, everybody.